Okay, so this is a special kind of variant episode because we thought it'd be fun to sit down and talk through some of our trials and all together for once, which we almost never are on camera.
Which we originally concepted the show to always be all together.
Yes.
It's amazing how we're actually not buddies in real life.
I tweaked my groin. Can we talk about my groin?
Yeah, let's talk about
tweaked
it.
it.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to talk about that. What's going on with your groin?
No, I was doing a reverse lunge and I tweaked it a little bit.
Tweaked a medical term?
It just means you pull, it's not like I pulled the muscle, but it was like, oh, you're gonna hurt it if you do any more.
Okay.
So it's not what we do at home for fun, Josh. It's more of an injury.
Yes, it's an injury. And when you get an injury, you feel I feel the pressure of oh shit, if I rest, then I'm not gonna meet my goals for the next week. But if you keep trying to work on it, you make it worse.
I think once I started hitting the longer runs, which is something we haven't talked about, I think the actual running, I'm up to 10-mile runs right now on Sundays. After those, you can tell my knees are really you shouldn't run anymore right now. Why don't you take a day and do nothing? You probably know that.
Well, why don't I take a day and do nothing? Yes, that's every day. I also did suffer a non-workout related injury.
Oh, okay, what happened?
So last week I was going to the mail to pick up a nice express suit, right? And I was holding the suit, and there's this gate to get back into my section of my apartment complex, and I was holding all this stuff. And then I was fiddling with my gate key to try and open it, and then I couldn't get it to work. So I drove off a curb. I fell, not out of my wheelchair, but halfway out of it, so that I was on my body was on my joystick, and then I drove my chair forward into the gate. Fell out of my chair as I ran over myself and my suit. Well, it was, I'm sitting there on the ground, just kind of well, this is awful. There are people, who have much worse bodies than I do, and they have to deal with those. There's a woman who always comments on my YouTube videos who's, going through cancer treatment, and her body is basically fighting against her. And even though, I feel that way sometimes, my body is still working for me the best that it can. And I just kind of have to be okay with that. And that's what I've realized in working out is this isn't really good what I'm doing, but it's as good as I can do for me,
I felt that way when I was talking about doing pull-ups. And I said, I can't do a pull-up, but I've been working on them with Wolf, and I can do them now if I have the band under my foot. And I was doing assisted pull-ups, and I felt very proud of myself because I'm doing the best that I can do for me. And Josh over here shit all over my progress.
What did you do, Josh?
He was like, oh, that's not something to be proud of.
First of all, I didn't say, those words never came out of my mouth.
Did.
No, she said, I finally did an assisted pull-up. And I was like, well, technically you could do an assisted pull-up anytime because it's an assisted pull-up.
You were like, that's not something to be proud of. Because I was like, I'm proud of myself. You're like, well, it's not really something to be proud of.
You could do an assisted anything at just about any time if you had the right assistor.
I don't know. I couldn't. I'm pretty sure I couldn't do an assisted run unless there was another man
right. He's the assister.
Just moving each leg independently. There would have to be two guys to make that. So I think an assisted pull-up, if it's something you couldn't do and now you can, and you're actually putting forth some effort, and the assistance isn't just that you found a guy that could lift your entire weight.
Right, because that's what I pictured.
In the form of a pull-up. Then it's a stride.
Thank you. And I feel proud of that.
I'm proud of you.
You're not. You're a liar.
You're not proud.
You're a liar. But don't ever, if you want to feel good about your fitness goals, don't ever tell them to Josh.
This problem that I have when I get bigger, I get really discouraging on myself and the way I look, and it's weird with kind of all the talk now on social media and just in the everywhere these days about positive body image and things like that. I don't know I've always had trouble figuring out where that line is. What is the level of okay you should be with yourself? Like, could you, like, I don't know where, again, like the line with like loving your body, even if it's not where you want to be.
Here's the thing. I think it's fine to have goals, but you can't really be down on yourself in the middle of the journey, right? Because, like, basically, I've never felt like my body is representative of the person that I am. This body is my home, and it's doing a lot of good for me and working for me. And it's like, even though you may not like certain things, you have to own them. It's not going to do you any good to say, I'm not at that place, so I'm going to be down on myself.
I agree. I think there's definitely a line of, you don't want to ever be negative, feel like you're not good enough because you don't look the way you want to look. Like, that doesn't change. You made a perfect point there. Like, who you are as a person is not defined by what your body looks like. So there's no, like, I'm not good enough, because the person you are is always good enough.
I mean, you'll always be your own worst critic unless you're doing assisted push-ups, in which I will be your worst critic.
Yes, thank you. And they're pull-ups, thank you. They're not push-ups.
Whatever.
I do my own push-ups. The thing that I think is really great about Buff Buddies is that it's afforded the opportunity for us to go about it in such a healthy way, to be guided by these people who really know what they're talking about, and to feel like you're getting the tools. Like, I now know if I'm in a hotel room what workout I can do that's really quick and that's going to be effective. And I feel like I have knowledge as opposed to just like a physical transformation. I feel like I've learned so much from the show.
Yeah. This show has sort of taught me, like, what I can do versus where other workouts and things have been more discouraging, because there's so much that I would like to do. And I can't. Like, Christian has been great about giving me things that actually, like, help my body and also give me, like, the superficial, like, boost that I want, because I just want to look good.
Yeah, but your abs, I mean, can we just be real?
I mean, to be honest, that's mostly like ribs. I think it's just that there's no meat there, and it's
The ribs are just
the
pushing
ribs are
the
just
abs
in
out.
the shape of abs, right? So,
What's been the hardest thing? We're 6 weeks in. We're down 6 weeks.
hardest thing for me has been finding people to get me to the gym. Like, that's honestly. So,
Which is a lot of people's excuse, though, too.
Yeah.
Maybe not quite as dire as
it's
yours.
not like I'm too busy or like, oh, I've got this going on. It's just like I'm at my apartment waiting to go to the gym.
You're waiting to be
That's
picked up
my
from
excuse.
soccer
Yeah.
practice.
I've been sitting in my apartment waiting to go to the gym all day
Yeah.
eating Cheetos.
The hardest thing for me has absolutely been the diet. It's been so hard for me because, I live with someone who is skinny and in shape and doesn't feel like he needs to watch his diet. But Gavin doesn't feel the need. He loves pasta. Like, if there's ever a night where I'm like, hey, can you make food? It's pasta. I'm going to have pasta and pasta sauce. So it's just, like, not really conducive to what I'm trying to do. And so just the diet has been really hard for me. So actually, I took the douche plunge, and I bought space food. So I'm going to try that.
I feel like most people who said they'd taken the douche plunge means something else.
Yeah.
Well,
I did that too.
Unfortunate.
You got to keep everything clean.
I guess my answer would be I've just always been much more tunnel visioned about my diets. And so it's like, which is probably why I balloon and get skinny again, is because it's like I diet and work out really hard, and this is the schedule. I stick to it. And then as soon as that starts to go off.
Do you get any sense that it's like different than your other diets? Like, once Buff Buddies ends, do you think you'll just do the whole cycle again? Or?
I am worried because we come off Buff Buddies. The last filming day for Buff Buddies is Valentine's Day, February 14th. That's when the Austin Marathon is. And then 2 weeks later, I start shooting on one of our shows for 10 straight weeks. And I am a little scared that with that workload and all that free craft services food, that I might slip back some. So
I'm worried just because then the trainer stops being free. And he's the only thing I feel like when I'm bad, I'm like, Wolf's going to punish me and I don't want to eat something. So I am a little bit worried about that for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't honestly say 6 weeks in that I feel a grand lifestyle change, because I've probably said that before coming off of P90X or anything else where I like worked out hard for 4 or 5 months and was like, man, because you feel great. I already feel significantly better 6 weeks in, but I felt that before and fallen right off the diet again. So I don't know. I don't know what the the
one
trick
day at a
is.
time.
Yeah.
Day at a time.
All right. That's it, I think. So thank y'all for coming on this
Thank
special episode.
This feels like an after-school special.
I know, it feels like we're all about to admit something very dirty and wrong.
Tell them not to use drugs, Zach.
Don't use drugs, kids, because you'll just have a really good time, and then you'll have to make up an excuse of why it's a bad idea for other people. Buff Buddies is fueled by Onnit. Go to onnit.com/buff for 10% off all supplements.